Steel Nation, thanks for tuning in back to the channel for another edition of the Steeler Culture Podcast, where we break down Pittsburgh Steelers football. If you're new here, hit that like, hit that subscribe. We would greatly appreciate it. Plus, follow us on social media. Our socials are in the overlay below, as you see. Today, we're going to discuss the latest rumors regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers, the latest news coming out regarding the Steelers trying to add a playmaker to the offense to complement DK Metcalf. Plus, the first week of OTAs is in the books. The Steelers have one more week, 3 more days of OTAs to run before mandatory minicamp. No Aaron Rodgers in sight. No Aaron Rodgers update. He's not here. He's not there yet.
Might as well not even be here.
There's no point. Like, at this rate, dude, you know, at this point, I think he's just skipping mandatory minicamp. I think he's just skipping the offseason programs.
At that point, I don't want him to be with the team that I wanted him to begin anyway.
Okay, well, let's say Aaron Rodgers falls flat. Would you settle for a Kirk Cousins?
Mason is my quarterback, guys.
Listen, Kirk Cousins did not show up for Falcons voluntary OTAs, and they are voluntary. He doesn't have to show up. I mean, TJ Watt didn't even show up for OTAs, and I'm not getting all rallied about that because, one, he never shows up for OTAs, and I'm very aware that he's in a contract year and the Steelers have to pay him, and the fact that they haven't yet is making them look like a silly front office because now they have to pay market value. You see what Myles Garrett got. Well, TJ Watt's going to get more than that. Lord knows when that's going to happen. But yes, although TJ Watt, Kirk Cousins didn't show up and they don't have to, it's also in Kirk Cousins' case, if Kirk Cousins was the starter, he would have showed up. He didn't, which means he wants out of there. And I'm praying to God the Steelers aren't involved. I wouldn't be surprised if they are. If they are, I hope it's only a situation where they're trying to pressure Aaron Rodgers to sign. The fact that they're trying to go for either of those guys is a joke to me. I just don't think either of them do anything for the Steelers. I don't think they push us any further. I don't think they better this team.
No.
I'd rather just run with what they have right now.
That's honestly the best option. The fact that we're still talking or even discussing the possibility of Kirk Cousins and A-Rod coming to the Steelers at their current state of their careers is just baffling. It's ridiculous.
Obviously, these are rumors. This is news that has been spreading around for months now, ever since the beginning of the legal tampering period of free agency.
Just ride with the guys you have. They want to be here. They want to rep with the players. They have been here since day one. That is Mason and Will Howard. Just ride with them.
I agree.
No harm, no foul. You don't have to worry about the headache of A-Rod. You don't have to worry about the headache of Kirk Cousins and that contract.
And no one wants that.
And their play, I'm good.
No one wants that. I don't even want Aaron Rodgers. What makes you think I would want Kirk Cousins? What has he accomplished? He's a good quarterback at this stage of his career. I don't think he's a good enough starter anymore, but he hasn't won anything. So what makes you think he's going to do anything extra for the Steelers? Hard pass on either guy. But the Steelers are looking elsewhere in terms of trying to add star power or trying to add some playmakers to the offense. And listen, I'm never going to say no to adding playmakers or trying to better a position or add a good football player to my football team at the right cost and under the right circumstances. The Steelers are trying to do that in terms of offensive weapons. No, it is not for a wide receiver too, although I'm pretty sure they are having talks in regards to trying to add that person, whoever that is. But the latest news has come out that they are trying to add a playmaker, but not specifically a wide receiver. How about another tight end? Not just any tight end, guys. Not just any other tight end. How about a tight end that has a bit of chemistry, some previous history with Arthur Smith?
The old chemistry for the Steelers offense and their offensive coordinator.
Yeah, because that hasn't bit us in the ass so many times.
How about that? Why not go for it again? And the tight end we're talking about is current Miami Dolphins tight end who was actually a Pro Bowl tight end last year, Jonnu Smith.
Jonnu Smith, who's going to be 30 at the end of August and is going to be looking for a new contract.
So why not grab another tight end? But not just any tight end, a tight end that Arthur Smith knows very well.
He has experience with him from his earlier days where he started his career with Tennessee, and then, of course, when Arthur Smith was the head coach in Atlanta. He has previously been with the Patriots and the Dolphins, more so doing a lot for the Dolphins than he did for the Patriots. And Jonnu Smith is a good football player, and under the right price, I don't mind the Steelers adding him. I just don't understand how it makes sense adding another tight end when we already have a full tight end room of Pat Frymuth, who's not going anywhere, and they're paying him $12 million a year to be their starting tight end. They drafted Darnell Washington in the 3rd round 2 years ago, and he is being incredibly underutilized. I think he should see a lot more passing targets. He's not. And then you got Arthur Smith, who last year didn't get his tight ends involved a lot.
Though they frequently used 13 personnel. They used 3 tight ends a lot in their motions.
Not just 13, but 12 personnel.
Yes. But the execution was just not there.
Now
that was very evident on the field.
That could have been a quarterback issue. That could have been the offensive line not helping, obviously. And we're still going to have those same situations this upcoming season. But Arthur Smith didn't use a lot of his tight ends. He didn't even get Pat Frymuth involved as much as he should. We didn't have no wide receiver 2 last year. We thought, oh, well, we just paid Pat Frymuth all this money. Make him the wide receiver 2. Let's see more targets for him, especially since he stayed healthy. He didn't get as much targets as we thought. Is that going to change this year? We hope so. Paying him this much, being healthy, knowing what his potential is, especially when you saw what he did with an aging Ben, I think Pat Frymuth should see a lot more targets along with a Darnell Washington, especially Darnell. Adding Jonnu would better the tight end room, and it would allow the Steelers to run a lot more 12 personnel where a guy like Jonnu could work in the slot specifically because he's obviously a big frame. He's got some vertical threat ability. He's a hell of a pass catcher. He's a very good football player, man. I remember in his Tennessee days when he first started with Arthur Smith, I was thinking this guy could be the replacement, the future heir for Tennessee to replace Delanie Walker.
And he was. He
was for a few years, and then he, has been around the league from Atlanta, New England, most recently Miami, and could be the Steelers next, based off of the Arthur Smith connection. It would better the tight end room. It would give the Steelers another great pass target, but is it really what the Steelers need? Do they need another tight end? I'd rather they set their focus on a wide receiver 2 that's going to be here alongside DK. I just don't understand the need of grabbing another tight end. And the main reason is because he has experience with Arthur Smith. But has that really worked for us? Did that work for us last year with Van Jefferson and Cordero Patterson?
Not just that, Scotty Miller's still with the team. So he's a good special teams guy, but is he an effective offensive weapon? No, he's not. He's nothing but a backup special teamer.
Compared to those guys, I think Jonnu Smith would have a more...
Jonnu stands out and sticks out more than those 3 guys combined at this current stage.
He'd have better impact for sure.
I am not taking anything away from Jonnu Smith's ability on the football field. He was a productive weapon for Miami. He was a very good target throughout, wherever Arthur Smith went, basically Jonnu Smith followed.
Yes.
To a point, I think it was, I don't remember what year it was exactly, but I remember when he was with the Falcons, Jonnu Smith was actually more involved than Kyle Pitts was.
Yes.
And that was a tight end that Arthur Smith drafted. I think that was actually his first draft selection when he was Falcons head coach.
Yeah.
So, Smith is a good football player, and Jonnu Smith and Arthur Smith, they got that chemistry, and Arthur Smith knows how to utilize Jonnu Smith. I'll give him that. And a tight end room of Pat Frymuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington, on paper, that don't look half bad.
That's a hell of a tight end room. I cannot deny.
And you hear me not mention Connor Hayward because this is only a rumor. This is only a report that the Steelers and the Dolphins are talking because according to Schefter, it's preferred that Jonnu Smith's preference, is to stay in Miami under a reworked deal. They're currently trying to work that out.
Yes.
But the Steelers have now gotten discussions with the Dolphins throughout this whole situation. So we'll see, what transpires, what goes down with that. But if Jonnu Smith comes, then the roster spot of Connor Hayward is in jeopardy.
See, I think it already is because they signed Donald Parham, former Chargers tight end this past offseason, and they have a couple undrafted free agents that could be looking to play the fullback position that will definitely put Hayward's job in jeopardy or his roster spot in jeopardy. So either way, I already don't envision Connor Hayward making the roster. Maybe if they want to keep a 4th tight end, which I don't doubt because they did keep 4 last year, which is why Hayward was definitely on the roster. So that could be the same. Adding Jonnu would more so put that in jeopardy now than, what it was before. I think Jonnu's a good football player. I can't deny that it would bolster the tight end room. It would definitely give us another very solid passing target.
I will say it would be actually a better tight end pairing in this tight end group than Michael Pruitt was, because Pruitt was nothing more than just a primary blocker.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
And it would definitely ensure, it would kind of give you the focus that the Steelers are going to run a ton of 12 personnel and 13 personnel. First of all, Arthur Smith doesn't use a lot of 11 personnel. His days in Tennessee, and especially his days in Atlanta, he was almost, I believe he was dead last, as a matter of fact, in 11 personnel usage. He didn't use the slot receiver a lot. Now, in 12 personnel, he would move the tight end, preferably a guy like Jonnu Smith, to the slot to work that position while still using a lot of tight end usage, which is his bread and butter. So that would give the Steelers and Arthur Smith the ability to run a ton of 12 and 13 personnel, something the Steelers were also not very good at last year. They weren't. The execution was not there. So adding Jonnu might bolster the room. It might help the usage of those personnel packages for sure, but how much of a success could it be? Time will tell. We don't even know if Jonnu will be a Pittsburgh Steeler. This is just a report from Adam Schefter that the Dolphins have had trade discussions with the Steelers regarding Jonnu Smith.
Yeah.
That doesn't exactly mean that he will be added to the Steelers, but there have been trade discussions. Now, it's very interesting that the Steelers have had trade discussions with the Dolphins, considering there is a receiver that wants out of there. No, I don't want Tyreek Hill because we just got rid of a head case. Why would we want another one? But it's interesting that they're having trade discussions, not just with the Dolphins regarding Jonnu Smith, but apparently with multiple other teams in regards to what Jordan Schultz had to say. He says the Steelers have had preliminary conversations with multiple teams about potentially adding another playmaker on offense to complement DK Metcalf per multiple sources. Pittsburgh is believed to be motivated to get a deal done at some point, though there's still plenty of time before the season.
Yep.
Obviously, as you guys know, the Steelers have up to 12 picks next year. Could be adding more. So they have the capital to trade for whatever they need, whether that is another tight end, whether that is most definitely, most hopefully another receiver, or perhaps both. They're probably going to try to add as many playmakers as they want. Omar Khan made that known at the Combine interview that they want playmakers. That's the one thing he added, most importantly, about the offense is we need playmakers. He did that with adding DK, and I believe he did that with adding Kaleb Johnson in the draft. The job's not finished. They're obviously going to be in talks regarding to add more players and add someone alongside DK. They want playmakers. They need people. They literally traded George Pickens after the draft and don't have a backup plan. They're trying to fix it. Lord knows when that's going to happen, when they're going to add a receiver, who that receiver will be. There's tons of time between now and the start of training camp and the start of the regular season. So Lord knows what could happen between now and then. Trade talks could amplify. Players could want out. You already know how the NFL world is, man. No, never say never, right?
That's the nature of the league. That's how it is.
Especially with Omar Khan. So he could add anybody. But the fact that they're trying to go after another tight end is very interesting because I just don't know why they would add another one unless they're really trying to go so heavy on the tight end usage.
And listen, I don't want to be opposed to adding another target, especially a guy like Jonnu Smith, who can't state this enough, is a very good player, is a very good pass-catching tight end, even a solid blocker at times, right? He's a good player. My concern is what is the usage going to be when it comes to the tight ends? Because they had 4 tight ends last year, and though the depth wasn't exactly great or productive, Pruitt and Hayward, Darnell and Muth are obviously the 1-2 punch there, but we didn't see them utilized a lot as often as we like, especially considering the fact that we did not have a prominent number 2, outside Calvin Austin, maybe.
Yeah, they had 4 tight ends on the roster, and the tight end usage in general, the packages or just the execution wasn't there. The usage of the tight ends weren't there. We didn't see Darnell as much as we should. We didn't see Muth as much as we should, especially seeing how much we're paying him.
How many games did we state last year? It's like, where's Muth? Where's the utilization of Muth? Why is Muth not getting involved? Even when they traded for Mike Williams, they didn't utilize Mike Williams, and they still didn't utilize Pat Freiermuth as much as they should have.
So even though they could be adding Jonnu Smith and that chemistry is there, and we've seen in the past, what that's done for Smith using Jonnu Smith. A lot of success in Tennessee, a lot of success in Atlanta for sure. Could that come to the Steelers? That's what they're aiming for. I just can't envision the tight end usage in the passing game growing stronger compared to last year. We could hope so, especially seeing we don't have a wide receiver 2 again for a second straight season, a second straight offseason. I just can't envision the tight end usage getting better or growing? Could they better the area? Could they better the depth? Could they better the position? Absolutely. Adding Jonnu would do it. I just don't envision or trust Arthur Smith to use his tight ends the way they should.
Or just run the offense in general. It was very questionable last year.
Literally, they had 4 tight ends on the roster, and they used them very minimal in the passing game.
Yeah.
Very minimal. So this year, even if they add Jonnu Smith, I don't envision it growing any better. I mean, we could all obviously hope that that's, the opposite, that we do use the tight ends the way they should. I mean, especially seeing how much we're paying youth and the size of Darnell. And if they do add Jonnu, you better use him in the slot. You better use his yak ability. You better use his pass target threat because he's a good one. We need guys like that. So adding a playmaker, I don't hate the idea. I just don't know why they're trying to continue to stack the tight end position if they're not going to use it the way that is advertised. Because they didn't do that last year, and based off of 1 year Arthur Smith, I can't get my hopes up that that's going to change. I could be wrong, and adding Jonnu Smith, if the price is right, I don't hate the idea. But I think that would just ensure Darnell is nothing more than a blocker when he could be seen as a vertical threat. We could use him up the seam. We haven't done that. In short little plays here and there, but I feel like that would give less opportunity for Darnell as a threat, as a pass target. He's a terrific blocker, but he's more than that, and the Steelers aren't using that. Adding Jonnu would kind of limit his opportunity there. That's how I see it. So I don't mind adding Jonnu if the price is right. I just don't know why they're trying to continue to stack the tight end position when their main focus should be let's go after a wide receiver too, because we need that more than anything. Unless they are so banking on Roman Wilson, which I don't mind, but it's still a question mark based off of the fact that he was injured last year. However, in OTAs, he's been looking pretty good. He's been looking healthy. He's adding that speed and that burst back to what he did coming out of Michigan. And he showed some of that in OTAs and a little part of training camp he had last year. And he's looking very smooth. He's looking crisp, especially in his routes. The Steelers are going to need that. They're going to need a guy like Roman Wilson to step up, especially if they don't add a wide receiver from now and then via trade.
Yeah, Wilson, throughout OTAs, he's flashed his quickness, explosiveness off the snap. His routes are very crisp, very smooth. He's really back into, his old ways, the way he was before the injury took place that took him out the majority of his rookie season. He's highly motivated. You can definitely just tell by that, just by his look, by the way he's practicing. And he was even asked about, how he feels about this opportunity coming up, considering the absence of a number 2 wide receiver. Roman Wilson said, "I look to get better every single day, treat every day like it's game day, every practice like it's game day. Come prepared with questions I ask coaches after practice. Be mentally and physically locked in every single day. Just give it my all. Give it all I got every single day so I can get better the next day and be ready for whenever my time is."
That's Roman Wilson for you, man. He's kind of playing with a chip on his shoulder. He's got something to prove. And, this is a big opportunity for him. We were hoping he'd run with it last year, unfortunately, because of a jet sweep. He got hurt and just, played, 5-6 snaps in that Raiders game?
Just 5.
And that's about it. Now he's healthy. He's ready to go. And the Steelers should be running with him. If they're not going to add anybody, they should be running with him.
Yeah, and
give him the opportunity.
And a lot of eyes are for sure going to be on Roman Wilson throughout the rest of offseason programs and whatnot. The rest of OTAs and, of course, mini camp and training camp coming about, right? A lot of eyes are going to continue to be on Roman Wilson. But so far, from what I've seen, from the videos I've seen, and from what I've heard, he's impressed every single day. And that's all I'm happy to hear. He's highly motivated. He's highly ready. He wants this. He wants this. And I'm ready to see what Roman Wilson can bring, as long as he can stay healthy, as long as he can remain consistent, as long as he can be in physical shape and mentally prepared. Give him the chance, man, because we need somebody on the offense to step up.
For sure. Speaking of healthy and taking that second-year jump or kind of getting his career started, his black and gold career started, how about a fellow rookie from last year, Troy Fautanu?
Last year's first-round selection.
This is a guy we're going to need to stay healthy because if he's not, who the hell is at right tackle? And no, you do not put Broderick back there because why would you do that? So we need Fautanu to stay healthy. He obviously started OTAs and will remain from now until hopefully forever at right tackle. That would allow Broderick to be at left tackle, which is where Broderick has started OTAs, and I believe that's where he's been. I would hope that the Steelers completely just never put him at right tackle again.
I have heard nothing of Broderick being moved over to left tackle once so far in OTAs.
You mean right tackle?
Yeah. Keep him at left tackle. I've heard nothing of him being moved over at right tackle. Troy Fatano's been there. Broderick's over at left tackle. Just keep him there. That was the plan. That was the vision by Omar Khan. That's hopefully, what he's looking to keep locked down for the foreseeable future, for 10 plus years and whatnot.
Yes.
Is the tackle position. Fatano, he's looking healthy coming off the knee injury. He's moving quite well. He's bringing that tenacity in practice. He's doing very well from what I've heard. And he commented on, spending the majority of his rookie season injured and how he has handled his recovery thus far. Fatanu said, I wouldn't say I handled it the best. I would say I was my biggest enemy sometimes. I think about the future when really I would just look or lock in on what was going on that day. But I felt once I did lock in and really focus on day-to-day activities, I really turned a corner on my recovery.
Yeah. Yeah, Fatanu, man, he's another guy where, he's got a lot to prove. Can he stay healthy? If he can he be that surefire, franchise tackle that the Steelers drafted him to be? And if that's the case, then all eyes are going to be looking towards the left side, Mr. 77 over there from Georgia, Broderick Jones. If there is one guy that really needs to have a breakout season, it's this guy. Now, we will have a separate video discussing Broderick Jones in full, but quick thoughts on Broderick, man. Thank God he's finally at left, and no matter what happens to Fatanu, knock on wood, he don't get hurt. Keep him there. Keep him at left. That's his natural spot. The fact that he is 2 years removed from his natural position when he was already raw, coming out of Georgia, winning a natty title, I mean, this is going to be a lot more of a patient situation for Broderick than we would have imagined. The Steelers failed him his first 2 years, keeping him there, keeping him at right, instead of keeping him where he should have been at left all along.
Yes.
Now he's there, keep him there, and once he, gets in the mindset of, I'm not playing right tackle, he can work on his mobility, his movements, his footwork, and getting used to that side again, where he's a lot more natural, a lot more comfortable. I'm hoping it all comes together, it all glues back to where it needs to be. That's where I'm hoping for Broderick, because I still have a lot of hope for Broderick, man. I really want him to work out.
Yeah, and many Steelers fans have already labeled him a bust and everything like that. And I can wholeheartedly understand why you would say that, because him over at right tackle, especially in the early stages last year, I mean, he was just not looking good.
Oh, he was bad.
Now, granted, he did have a brace on his elbow. I can't remember which side, but people said that affected him and really, messed up his ability to block defensive linemen and whatnot, which, of course, it can hinder an offensive lineman's ability to play to the best of their ability. But I would say that in the second half, he stepped up. He didn't allow as many sacks or as many penalties and whatnot. He did grow as the season went on. You know what I'm saying?
So a healthy Broderick will show some flashes, but that doesn't mean keep him right.
That doesn't mean keep him right.
But just because he was the best all-around tackle in 2023 over Dan Moore and Chucks doesn't mean, hey, let's give him all the reps possible at right tackle last year like the Steelers did. And that's where they failed him.
No. But he did show flashes sometimes over at right side. And if you put him over in his natural position at left and keep him there and make sure that he is mentally focused to remain and stay over at left tackle instead of having him think, shoot, am I going to go over back to right tackle? Because a player like Broderick should not have to worry about that.
No, he needs to get out of the mindset. The Steelers need to tell him, hey, listen, you're done. No more right tackle. Erase everything from your mind. You're at left. Worry about that. Once the Steelers give him some clarity there, I think everything can fold back to where Broderick should have been all along.
Like that Ravens game. Who remembers that Ravens game in his rookie year when Dan Moore went out with injury? I think it was a concussion. Broderick had to step in. He only allowed one singular pressure in that game. The guy was locked down pretty much the whole time.
Yeah.
At that point, we were pounding the table saying, start Broderick, bench Dan Moore. Broderick's the guy at left tackle. Only for Broderick to sit back on the bench until he's moved over to right tackle when Chuck's got in trouble and whatnot. He's been there ever since. I need to see Broderick full-time over at left tackle before I can label him anything.
Yes. So I'm hoping that throughout the rest of OTAs and the mandatory minicamp and training camp, I hope I don't see one singular clip or one singular post or whatever anywhere all over social media of him back at right tackle. The second the Steelers do that is the Steelers doing the same thing all over again, is them making the same mistake they did the last 2 years. keep him at left forever. And if it doesn't work out, then Broderick is just going to be an awful first-round pick. But I'm hoping that there's still some saving grace with this guy, and I do think there is. I'm hoping he can still be the franchise left tackle the Steelers draft him to be.
And listen,
it's a big season for him.
It's not like you put him over a left and all the problems are solved and whatnot. No. Like, yes, he's got to be moved over a left. He's got to stay there. But Broderick himself, he's got to step up. He's got to show, like, yes, this is where I should have been all along. And this is why you traded up for me in the first round, right? You traded up to get a guy like me.
Right.
This man has potential. I still believe that. It's a make or break year for Broderick. Out of anybody else on this roster right now, Broderick is number one on that list of make or break. This is a big, crucial year for Broderick. And I really hope that he knocks it out of the park. I hope he showcases that he wants to be here. He wants to be the best that he possibly can be at his natural position. And he can be the guy that the Steelers invested in. You know what I'm saying?
And I think it all starts mentally with Broderick from what he's been taught and where he needs to get comfortable again. Because he stated, man, being back at left tackle, I feel it's a bigger boost for me just because I've been used to playing on the left side. I'm trying to get used to things and making sure things are right in my head and not thinking I'm still on the right side. This is a great time for me to keep building on what I've been doing all offseason. It all starts mental. Once he gets comfortable that he's back at left, I'm hoping everything falls into place. Like you said, though, it's not going to just fix everything, oh my God, he's what he should have been all along. It's still going to be a growth situation where he's still raw, especially being away for 2 years. It's all a learning curve again. So it's going to take time. But I'm hoping that throughout the offseason, everything will kind of just come to him, where he can be comfortable and everything can fold back to, where he should have been. So,
of course,
we'll see what happens with Broderick Jones, but I'm excited to see what he does this year, and I hope the Steelers don't make the same mistake where they put him at right, even if, knock on wood, Fatano gets injured again. Just keep him where he's at.
Yeah, no more of that, please.
We're going to talk about Kaleb Johnson a little bit, man. Kaleb Johnson has been kind of the highlight of the first week of OTAs, and if you look at the clips online, you look at some of the training clips and the drills he's been doing, man, he's a worker, dude. Like, he's just there to learn. He's there to work. He's got this sense of, work ethic to him.
And that's what's really, I don't mean to interrupt you, but that's what's really been just highlighting or been the highlight of Kaleb Johnson. Just not, his burst on the field and his quickness off the snap and how he's holding on to the football and, stiff arming, medicine balls and whatnot, or just his physical shape. It's his work ethic. His work ethic has showed every single day, and that's during and after practice.
Yeah, he just got this sense of real focus to him where he's actually trying to learn and grow as a football player. And that's why we're all excited on Kaleb Johnson, because whatever happens at the quarterback position, the Steelers are still going to run the ball. And Kaleb Johnson, being the third-round pick he was, the Steelers are going to lean on him and Warren a lot. So he really, out of probably every rookie, is probably the one that I'm most excited for, because that's who the Steelers are going to lean on. And seeing how this guy just wants to learn, he's asking questions regarding Warren and Gainwell in terms of a lot of situations. He's someone that just wants to better himself.
Yeah.
And that's what you want in the locker room. That's someone you want running the rock. That's someone you want to be a future core piece to the offense. Give him a couple weeks in the start of the regular season and just watch him grow. I feel like it'll all come along pretty quick for him.
Yeah, one of the things that he's just been constantly and obsessively working on every day during and after practice, he said himself, is his pass protection. And that was one of the things that people were saying, that was one of the negatives about Kaleb Johnson is his pass protection. It wasn't the worst, but definitely needs some fine tuning and whatnot. It needs to be worked on. He's obsessively working on that. This is a quote from Kaleb Johnson about that. He said, pass blocking, that's my main thing. That's what I want to work on. I'm going to work on it every day. After practice, just going over there with the bag right there, as he pointed to the bag, and hitting it with Coach Eddie Faulkner. Just learning from Jalen Warren, too, because he's one of the best dudes in the league right now. I told him, let's do it. Let's work after every practice and do it. He's with it, and I'm down to go.
He's just here to work. I love it.
You know what kind of mentality that is? That's a dog mentality.
That is a dog mentality. That's a winner's mentality. That's someone that wants to be here. That's someone that wants to succeed. That's someone that wants to better the football team he is representing, man. Love Kaleb Johnson already, and he hasn't even had a single carry for the black and gold yet. So I'm excited to see what he can do, but based off of the highlights and the clips we've been seeing and what he's been doing and the reports that are coming out about how he's just asking questions and, focusing on a lot of what he wants to grow on, that's what you want to see. That's someone that is here to work. That's someone that is here to lead.
That's the mentality of a future feature back for any football team at that.
I got a lot of faith and a lot of confidence that Kaleb Johnson could be a great football player for us.
I mean, I liked him a lot coming out of Iowa. He was one of my favorite running backs in a stacked running back class this past draft class. But just hearing from what he's been saying, what he's been doing in OTAs, and just seeing the clips, I can't wait to see Kaleb Johnson in the black and gold. Just rep that number 20, rep the black and gold for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and just run the rock, protect that ball, and do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
I'm excited for Johnson, dude.
Another rookie I'm excited for is Will Howard, as I think we all are. Because, just like Kaleb Johnson, this is someone that is here to work. This is someone that is here to learn, that wants to better himself. He himself wanted to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. Although he grew up an Eagles fan, he wanted to be a Pittsburgh Steeler. He just knew that was a good fit for him. And he is, based on how big he is and the size and his athleticism and the leadership qualities he adds on and off the field and how smart of a player he is and how he wants to grow, that's the prototypical Steelers quarterback, which is why a lot of fans are very high on him. I don't know exactly when he'll get an opportunity based off of, maybe a starting role, especially if they do add a Aaron Rodgers or, God forbid, a Kirk Cousins. But Will Howard, he's also here to work. He's here to learn. I believe he's been the second quarterback based behind Mason Rudolph, obviously, but he's been working. He's been getting the throws going. He's been getting some work with the rookies and the pass targets. Will Howard did have a rough first day at OTAs, which is expected. They're rookies. This is a new curve for them. So, but that rough first day is exactly what you need to learn, to adjust yourself, to better yourself. And that's exactly what Will Howard did. He admitted he had a rough first day of OTAs, but said he's learning and he's growing throughout the week. And I quote, "First day was a work in progress. I didn't feel great about my first day, but it was a good learning experience for me. I wasn't expecting to be perfect on my first day, but that's the thing. You got to learn. Especially me being young, you got to be able to roll with the punches and know you're going to have some and make some mistakes, especially being a rookie. It's how you learn from it, come back from it, and don't get affected by it." That's just the words of someone that's here to learn, here to work, here to better himself. The words of a leader. Those words echo to a lot of people in the locker room. So hearing that from Will Howard is, something you want to hear from a guy that is just here to try to, be the best he can for this football team. Yeah. Help this team any way he can.
Howard, he's a rookie, of course, in the 6th round. And he's a guy that knows his role. He knows that he's going to have some tweaks. He's going to have some bad days. But, it's all part of the learning curve. It's all part about, the beginning stages of being in the NFL and learning and just growing about it. And this is a man that wants to learn. He wants to grow. He wants to prove that he belongs. It's going to be rough in the beginning. It's just how it is when it comes to being a rookie, no matter what round you're selected in. But it's all about, what you can learn from it, how you can better yourself from it, how you can grow. And this is what his mindset is. This is his game plan. This is what he wants to do. And this is a man that, just based off what he said, just like Dan said, that's a guy that any players are going to want to rally around, especially at the quarterback position, backup or not.
Yeah, and the same thing was said about Derek Carman, how he's been asking questions regarding towards a guy like Herbig and Hayward. He's been working with them and asking them questions. It's the same thing with all these rookies. Is they're all here to work. They're all here to learn, and that's what you want to hear regarding the rookies and the rookie class all together. I feel like from a mindset aspect and what they bring to the locker room, these guys are just here to better themselves and work. That's what you want to see, especially since this is just the start of offseason programs. Rookie mini camps behind us. We're now in OTAs. We're going to have mandatory mini camp in a couple weeks, and then training camp in the end of July into August. So the fact that they're already getting a jump on this here is a good starting process for a lot of these rookies. That's what you want to hear from Roman Wilson, who's getting really another chance here, another start. Fatanu, right? Will Howard, Kaleb Johnson, Derek Harmon. These guys coming into their first and second year. this is ideally the future of the organization.
Yep.
You know, future core pieces, future starters potentially for this team. Guys that are probably going to be impact players, hopefully, maybe even immediate impact players based off how the season goes.
I mean, these are guys that embody championship culture, championship mentality.
Like guys that, you know, I don't know how you guys are viewing this season, but for me, it's really how these young guys are going to work, how far along these guys have come, and, you know, what we could see from the previous draft classes. Even a guy like Peyton Wilson, who's going to see a lot more playing time. He's going to be a more of an impact player this year than he was last year. He's going to have to be. Alongside Patrick Queen.
He admitted he bulked up. He put on 10 pounds of muscle.
Oh, wow.
He's 243 pounds right now, guys. He was 233 at the combine last year.
243.
243.
Running a
4.41, yeah.
Wow. Oh, wow.
Yeah, Peyton Wilson did. And listen, he was an impressive rookie, and he's got a hell of a mindset. He's got a hell of a routine. He's a man that is just locked in every single day for practice, for game day, for whatever the hell, right? I mean, Peyton Wilson's he's a man that wants to be great, and he is great. He was very good in his rookie year, and he's just only going to continue to grow. He's only going to continue to improve, and he knows that there's going to be a lot on his shoulders, a lot of responsibility on him now since Aaron Rodgers is gone, and he's going to be leaned on heavily to be a part of this front seven, be a part of this defense alongside Patrick Queen at inside linebacker. But Peyton Wilson's a guy that, you know, when the pressure comes at him, he's ready to take it on. You know what I mean?
And now he's got a guy like Cole Holcomb who is running drills, who is running in OTAs, which is good. You know, it's great to see Cole Holcomb back healthy, ready to go. Unfortunately, he lost a year and a half of his career due to a serious injury. We didn't think he'd ever come back.
No.
Well, the Steelers restructured his contract. They let Atlanta and Roberts walk, which kind of sucks, but Holcomb will be that fill-in guy on obvious rundowns and early rundowns, right? It's good to see Cole Holcomb back in OTAs, and that's where him, Queen, and Wilson are going to work together, and that's going to help Wilson as well, learning from a veteran like him and working alongside a guy like Patrick Queen.
Yeah.
You got that defensive line that is very stacked and a lot younger now, and in my opinion, better than it was last year, based off of the class we had and the players that they have there, and based off paper.
Yeah.
So that's exciting, and that's what I'm really looking forward to a lot this year is what these guys are going to add to this team, because these guys are ideally the future. That's what I'm very excited for.
And that's the key word right there. You said future. I'm not expecting much into this season. I've said that several times throughout this offseason. I'll continue to say it leading into the regular season. You know what I mean? I'm not expecting much. I'm not, despite who the quarterback is, though I will rep Mason Rudolph all day, every day. I don't care. The future is what I'm excited about. Just these guys and their mentality, their championship pedigree, their championship culture that they have adapted from the schools that they were at, and what they're bringing to the Steelers right now. It just speaks of old school Steelers mentality, something that, you know, we're trying to get back to. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know, they're trying to embody the true Steeler way, the true Steeler culture.
Well, that is the team that Omar is trying to build.
And you see the difference compared to the Colbert guys that Colbert selected compared to the Omar Khan guys and their mentality.
Well, just based off of who he's traded the past couple of years.
Yeah.
Claypool, Johnson, Pickens.
Pickett.
Yes. I mean,
he's getting all those guys out there like, this is not the roster I want.
This is a selfish mentality, man. You know, this is not the Steeler culture that Troy was talking about in his Hall of Fame speech.
No.
So this is the team that Omar is trying to build. These are the guys, the mentality, the leadership that he's trying to bring back into the locker room that will eventually bring it onto the football field, hopefully. So that's what this season, to me, upcoming, regardless of the quarterback position, is really mostly about. Is let's build for the future. Let's see what these guys are made of, what they're going to bring for this team. That's what I'm very excited for. But who will be the quarterback? Well, you already know who we want, and we're going to close it out here with Mason Rudolph. He's been the QB1 ever since he's been signed, really. And he's been the quarterback 1 for OTAs, and I don't see that changing until something happens regarding the two names that are circulating around the quarterback rumor talk.
Can I just say he's rocking a sweet mustache right now? Mature Mason, guys.
I don't use this word very often because it's considered brain rot. But
I know where this is going.
This is infinitively aura from Mason Rudolph.
Listen, man, that's my QB1.
He has grown up.
That's my QB1.
He has grown up.
He's actually doing quarterback 1 things and saying quarterback 1 things. It's pretty wild.
Yes, he has. Now, he did make a statement regarding Aaron Rodgers because obviously, the reporters got to ask about it and saying, hey, have you talked to Aaron Rodgers? And Mason Rudolph's like, no, I have not. I have not talked to Aaron Rodgers. And regarding the whole situation, it's just, he said he's used to the constant noise regarding, quarterbacks being in position over him, right? So, asked about the A-Rod situation, he said there's been constant noise about it, and it's the nature of the NFL, and he's been used to that. Rudolph, on how he views his opportunity to be quarterback one, says, same way I always have. Just control what I can control. Throw the ball well and play well when I get the chance to. Well, he might get his chance this year.
I hope so.
We'll see. But Mason Rudolph, as of now, until something happens, is our quarterback one. I do not mind running with Mason Rudolph. I do not.
I have zero problem with that.
No.
I have zero miedo with Mason as my QB1.
No, me neither.
I'm perfectly fine with that. I'm perfectly fine with taking a year of Mason as the QB1.
If it comes to it, I don't think he'll be the full season starter because at the end of the day, as much as I love and respect Mason, I don't think he is a NFL starter. I think he is a career backup, but he's a very good backup. And if he's someone that's got to be the bridge, so be it. And if that gives Will Howard the opportunity to sit and then potentially get some playing time later on to the season, I'm not going to hate that idea because I would love Will Howard to get some playing time. Not immediately. I wouldn't throw him out to be the week 1 starter. I think that's a disaster waiting to happen. But I'd love for him to sit. And then if by some chance Howard sees playing time this upcoming season, so be it. I think the best way for that to happen is with Mason being the guy, because ain't no way that's happening if Aaron Rodgers or Kirk Cousins is the guy.
No.
It's not happening. But although we are done with the first week OTAs, the first 3 days of OTAs is behind us. They have one more week OTAs before mandatory minicamp starts June 10th. No Aaron Rodgers in sight. No update. Just more cryptic whatever from Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, I know a team that's playing Chicago on the road.
Yeah, I do too. And although you own Chicago, I don't think that's going to help us whatever in that game. So it might as well best you just sit this one out. Hey, Rod.
Sit out the whole year. At this point, I'm just done.
Just retire.
I'm just done. Enjoy the rest of your life, man. There's nothing left to prove.
No, there's not. So Lord knows when we'll finally get a decision. But although the offseason program's underway, the Steelers' plan is not there. So how much longer are they going to wait? They got
a little while longer, Danny.
Yeah,
always remember that.
According to Art Rooney II.
A little while longer.
They got mandatory minicamp coming up. Keyword mandatory. So will he be there then? Probably not. He might show up after that. He might wait till literally all the offseason programs are over and just show up on training camp. Or maybe it'll just be the first game of the season versus the Jets halftime, and then we got whoever's announcing the game. Aaron Rodgers could be signing any minute now, and then he comes through the tunnel, comes halftime, like Bobby Boucher. I don't know. At this point, man, that's what it looks like it's going to be.
No, thank you. I'm good.
So, no Aaron Rodgers in sight, but the Steelers should just continue to move on. And it's more opportunity for Mason and Will Howard, which I'm never going to hate. So, with that being said, that's the video. Appreciate you guys for watching. Let us know your guys' thoughts in the comments below regarding all the stuff we talked about. The OTAs, first week OTAs, the Jonnu Smith trade rumors, and the Steelers looking all around, discussing with multiple teams about adding another playmaker to complement DK Metcalf. We don't know what teams those are. We don't know who they're trying to add. All we know is they will. We just don't know who, and we don't know when. A lot of time between now and then. Something's going to happen. We just hope that the magnitude of it is to our satisfaction. But offseason programs are underway, which means football is slowly coming together. Football is slowly coming back. And that's what we love to hear. Time marches on. Time is moving fast. And before we know it, we'll be watching the week 1 game. So we'll keep you guys updated regarding all the offseason programs, regarding OTAs and minicamp, and any other rumors regarding the Pittsburgh Steelers for this offseason. So appreciate you guys tuning in. Let us know your guys' thoughts down in the comments below, and see you in the next one. Here we go, Steelers.
And as always, like, comment, subscribe, and we'll see you later.
Peace!